Unit 42, Initiative, Referendum, and Recall. Taken together, initiative, referendum, and recall are the politics of direct action. These three processes are means by which the people may bring their will to bear directly on the legislative process and the machinery of government. Most constitutional democracies, such as those in Australia, Canada, and the United States, operate through a system of representative government. When the people are dissatisfied with and want to change the actions of government, or when the government wants to get public approval for a policy, these three devices are available. An initiative is a legislative proposal that originates with the people. By recall, voters may initiate a process to remove public officials from office. Referendum, however, is a measure the government submits to the people for their approval. A common factor among all three is that the people vote on them. Through initiative, any proposed law can be put on the ballot in an election. To use initiative, citizens must gather petitions signed by a certain portion of the voters. If the petitions are approved and the signatures are valid, the proposal can be voted on. If it passes, the proposal becomes law. Sometimes initiatives are first submitted to a legislature. If they are passed in the legislature, they become laws without the need for a popular vote. If they fail, they may be submitted directly to a vote by the public, who may override the action of the legislature. There are two kinds of referenda, obligatory and optional. In many areas, certain proposals must be put on the ballot for public approval. For example, when a school district wants to issue bonds for building new schools, it goes to the voters with an obligatory referendum. In the United States, amendments to state constitutions also must be put before the voters for approval. Under the optional referendum, a specified number of voters may, by petition, demand a popular vote on a law passed by the legislature. By this means, an act of the legislature can be overturned in a kind of popular veto. Recall is a device used mostly in the United States at the state and local level, whereby voters may remove a public official from office before the expiration of his or her term. It is based on the principle that office holders are agents of the popular will and should, therefore, be constantly subject to the public's control. Unit 43, Living Arrangements. Close living arrangements between two different species is called symbiosis. The word symbiosis comes from the Greek word meaning state of living together. Usually, in a symbiotic relationship, two organisms have close physical contact with one living on or in the other. In some cases, however, the relationship is less intimate. These relationships can range from mutually beneficial to harmful for one of the species. Sometimes both organisms benefit from mutual relationships that exist among animals, plants, and microorganisms. For example, some plants are pollinated by insects that in turn obtain food in the form of pollen or nectar from the plants. Many animals, including humans, have protozoans and bacteria that break down cellulose and other substances in the intestines. The resulting compounds are used by both the host and the microorganisms. In other cases, mutualism can exist between two animal species. African tick birds, for example, obtain food by cleaning parasites from the skin of giraffes, zebras, and other game animals. In one type of relationship, one member benefits while the other is neither helped nor harmed. For example, the remora fish can attach itself to a shark, whale, or large turtle and be carried from meal to meal, feeding on scraps scattered by its host. The remora doesn't harm or help its host. Spiny and barbed seeds also form relationships with animals and humans that ensure the survival of the plants that produce the seeds. By attaching themselves to fur, feathers, or clothing, the seeds are carried long distances before they are dislodged. In this manner, some plants may be transported across continents and oceans. A parasitic member of a relationship benefits while the host is harmed. Nearly all species of plants and animals are subject to at least one, but usually several species of parasites. Parasites can be transferred from host to host in complicated life cycles that involve more than one host. Parasites generally absorb food from their hosts, but may also receive water, minerals, and shelter. Most parasites are pathogens that cause diseases such as typhoid fever, cholera, malaria, polio, and influenza in humans. If a host dies prematurely from disease, however, the parasite is also at risk of dying. As a result, many parasites and their hosts have evolved a form of mutual tolerance, where the host may still be harmed in some way, sometimes even fatally.